Hello, my name is Andy Roberton. I will be presenting work performed during my Masters at the University of Bristol, looking at whether a change in implant use can improve total hip replacement survival. Over 95,000 total hip replacements were recorded in the National Joint Registry during 2019, and we know that 58% of these will last 25 years, but variation in survival has been observed between units. In a study looking at factors associated with implant survival, it was found that implant selection is associated with the long-term survival of THRs rather than factors specific to a high-performing unit. This leads to the hypothesis that changing implant use within a unit may alter survival performance, but this is something so far that has not been looked at in practice. In 2014, Musgrave Park Hospital were identified as a potential revision outlier by the NJR, and in response they performed an implant use policy change. This involved using a single cemented stem and a choice of 2 cemented cups and 1 uncemented cup. And this change in policy therefore provided exactly the situation where we could test the hypothesis that changing implant use within a unit may alter survival performance. So the aim of the study was to assess the impact of the implant use change on survival outcomes at Musgrave Park. We performed a retrospective observational study using an NJR dataset. We compared the cumulative revision estimates before and after the change of implant use to investigate whether a change in survival outcome was associated with a change in implant use. We adjusted for potential confounders and performed sensitivity analyses to assess the effect of metal and metal constructs, as well as restricting analyses to only the consultant in charge operating at both time periods to minimize the impact of any individual surgeon influencing results during one period. We performed further analyses to compare the survival of hips at Musgrave Park using the C-stem AMT to all other hips in the NJR using the same constructs. This was another important part of the analysis, as if a change in implant use policy is responsible for a change in survivorship, we would expect to see similar survival of the C-stem AMT at Musgrave Park as in the rest of the NJR. This table demonstrates the distribution of the hips included in the study. You can see that 1,274 hips were included in the time series analysis post-implant change, and 65 of these were implanted against the change in policy. This table summarizes the results of the time series analysis. On crude analysis, there is a change in 5-year survivorship from 3.9 to 1.61%, but after performing sensitivity analyses to exclude both the effect of metal on metal and to restrict to those consultants operating in the same period, the risk of revision is almost the same. These Kaplan-Meier graphs illustrate the previous slide's results, whereby the difference in survivorship seen on crude analysis effectively disappears after sensitivity analyses. These further analyses demonstrate that on crude analysis, the risk of revision overall at Musgrave Park is now almost identical to the rest of the NJR, but the performance of the C-stem in the rest of the NJR is better compared to Musgrave Park. But as you can see, there are large confidence intervals which make these point estimates a challenge to interpret with any meaning. So at 5 years, both crude and adjusted cumulative revision estimates demonstrate the change in implant policy at Musgrave Park appears to have influenced implant survivorship, but the combined sensitivity analysis sees this effect disappearing. So this leads to the question, is it the lack of metal hips and exclusion of a number of consultants that has contributed to an improvement in the implant survivorship? And the current findings provide limited support to the observations previously published. There is a growing movement towards rationalizing implant procurement, minimizing variation, and improving evidence-based practice, and therefore this remains an important topic, and so far an unanswered question. But longer-term follow-up with larger numbers will provide a better understanding of the determining variables on survivorship. Thank you.